Class 10 Biology. Good morning, students. So, after a long time, we'll again restart the uploading video. Today, we will discuss chapter 10, the nervous system. So, first of all, the first topic in the nervous system is the need of the nervous system. Why higher, higher animals have well developed nervous system? Because it keeps us informed about the outside world. It enables us to think, remember, and to reason out. It controls and harmonizes all voluntary muscular activities. Is running or even holding this book in your hand while you are reading it. And finally regulates involuntary activities like breathing of the heart, okay, without our thinking about them. So these are the activities that are carried out by the nervous system. This nervous system consists of structural and functional unit, and the structural and functional unit of the nervous system are neurons or nerve cell, the unit of nervous system. So our nervous system consists of brain, spinal cord, sense receptor, and a whole lot of nerve. The brain and spinal cord are made of neurons or nerve cells. So let us first learn about these cells, the neurons. Clear? So structure of neuron. A neuron consists of cell body, dendrites, and the axon. Basically, structure consists of cell body and the axon. The cell body, also known as perikaryon or cytone, also known as perikaryon or cytone. Cytone cell body or perikaryon. Now, it contains a well-defined nucleus surrounded by granular cytoplasm. So this is the cytone. This cytone contains a well-defined nucleus, and the granular substance that are scattered around the nucleus is known as Nissls granules. It has all the cells organelles like other cell, only centrosome is absent because nerve cells have lost the ability to divide. That's why if any nerve cell will damage, neither it will repair nor replaced by new cells. Once more, cell or the nerve cell do not contain centrosome. That's why if any nerve cell will damage, it cannot replace by neither replaced by new cells or repaired. Now second, dendrite. Dendrites are the small cytoplasmic projections. These are the small cytoplasmic extensions. Clear? And they conduct nerve impulse from the body to the cytone. It carry impulse towards the cytone. Now axon. Axon is the long process. It's a long process. It is like the dendrite, but it's a long process. from the cell wall. It varies in size from a millimeter to even more than 1 meter in length. In most neurons, the axon is surrounded by white insulating sheath. White insulating sheath called myelin sheath. So this is the myelin sheath. Which is covered by outermost thin sheath called neurolemma. This is neurolemma. The myelin sheath shows some gaps throughout the length which are called knots of Ranvier. Some axons may have branches called collaterals. Means these axons have branches called collaterals, and the end portion of the axon has swollen ends like bulbs called axon bulbs or axon ends. So these are the axon ends or axon terminals. Axon terminals are closely placed near the dendrites of another one or more neurons but not connected. Such gaps are known as synaptic cleft. See the gap? This is the axon end of one neuron. This is the dendrite of another neuron. Here the gap. This gap is called synaptic cleft. So synaptic cleft is a gap between the two adjacent neurons. Clear? And this neuron or the neurons are the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. The main function of these is to conduct impulse either from the body parts to the brain or the nervous system, or from the brain or spinal cord to the body parts. So carried out by the neurons or nerve impulse. Clear? Now see, transmission means if the neurons transmit impulse from the body parts to the brain as well as brain to the body part, how do these neurons transmit impulse? So in the normal or resting condition, the outer side of the nerve fiber carries positive charge. This is called polarized state. This polarization due to the more sodium ions outside the axon membrane. Clear? Now see the figure. So in the normal condition, the outer side of the nerve fiber carries positive charge. This is called polarized state. This polarization is due to the more sodium ion outside the axon membrane. More sodium ion outside the axon membrane. On stimulation is a change in the outside environment that may be mechanical, electrical, chemical or heat. So on being stimulation, axon membrane at the spot becomes more permeable to the sodium ion. So on stimulation, the axon membrane at the spot becomes more permeable to the sodium ion which move inward, and the cause of polarization becomes depolarized state. This depolarized state also known as excited state. So here, due to the influx of sodium ion, positive charge move inside and the negative charge outside. This is the depolarized region or depolarized state. The point of depolarization, now this point of depolarization becomes a stimulus for the next part, because the stimulation from the outside environment occurs only one time. Suppose if I call all of you, how are you? All will respond, I am fine, I am fine. So how are you all? This is a stimulus, and this stimulus is perceived by your ear. So once it perceived by ear, the depolarized state act as a stimulus for the next part of the neuron, thus impulse transmitted to the brain and the vice versa. Thus impulses are transmitted through the nerves. The previous area becomes, when this depolarized state acts as a stimulus for the next polarized state, it will be depolarized, and the depolarized region becomes repolarized. How? The sodium ions start moving outside and the positive charge becomes moving outside. So whatever the changes that takes place in the neuron is due to the active sodium and potassium pump, and sodium and potassium pump is activated on any stimulation, and thus nerves or the impulse is transmitted from one neuron to the another neuron. Getting all of you? Okay. Now, see, speed up electricity and speed up nerve impulse. Electricity conducted through a wire at a speed of about 150,000 km per second, but the nerve impulse travels at a maximum speed of about 100 meters per second only. Now, synapse is the point of contact between the terminal branches of the axon of a neuron with the dendrites of another neuron separated by a fine gap. As I have shown in the beginning, this is the axon end of one neuron, dendrite of the another neuron. This gap is known as synapse. So it is the point of contact between the terminal branches of one neuron with the dendrites of the another neuron. At the sudden, the nerve impulse jumps into the next neuron. This is chemical process. As the impulse reaches the terminal end of axon, a chemical acetylcholine is released. This acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. This chemical set a new impulse in the dendrites of the adjacent neuron. The chemical is soon broken down by an enzyme to make the synapse ready for the next transmission. Getting all of you? See the figure? This is the axon end of one neuron. This is the dendrite of another neuron. So this gap is called synaptic cleft, and this point of contact is called synapsis between the axon end of one neuron with the dendrites of another neuron. So when impulse reaches to the axon end, it releases a chemical called acetylcholine, and this acetylcholine acts as a stimulus for the next neuron. The impulse transmitted from one neuron to the another neuron. Now see, types of neuron. Sensory neuron can be the impulse from the receptor to the main nervous system, means from the body parts to the nervous system. Motor neuron carry impulse from the main nervous system to the effect of the muscle or organ, means from the nervous system to the body part. And association connecting neuron are located in the brain and the spinal cord, which interconnect the sensory and the motor neurons. Clear? So next day we'll continue from the next topic. Till all of you have a good day. Bye.